Joined now by two terrific economists. In Washington, Ben Stein, the former presidential speechwriter, author. His new book is How to Ruin the United States of America. And in San Jose, California, Robert Reich, the former labor secretary in the Clinton administration, and is an economic advisor to Barack Obama. First, Ben, what are your thoughts on what's going on this week
with the
stock market?
First-class disaster. The worst Treasury regulation of the economy in my lifetime, and I'm 63 years old. Deregulation has been a disaster. Your friend Donald Trump, to the contrary, notwithstanding. Letting the investment banks and the commercial banks work together to wreck Wall Street has been a disaster. Failure to enforce the laws against fraud has been a disaster. Not bailing out Goldman Sachs basically told the investing public that they're on their own. The effect of this on the ordinary investor and pre-retiree trying to get going, seeing his savings being blown out of the water by short sellers, is just catastrophic for the free enterprise system. I cannot think of worse stewardship of the economy than we've seen in the last few months, and especially in the last few days.
Robert Reich?
Well, I'm hard-pressed to disagree with Ben Stein on a lot of that. I mean, and the irony is that under a Republican administration, we are seeing more intervention in the so-called free market than we've had since the Great Depression, taking over entire companies. Now, I would much rather have, instead of bailouts and subsidies, I'd much rather have regulations that make sure that Wall Street is playing fair, full disclosure, capital requirements, transparency. We have not had this. Instead, we now have a kind of reaping the whirlwind of a lack of oversight.
Ben, here's what Obama had to say today about McCain, and we'll get your comments. Watch.
Yesterday, Senator McCain actually said that if he's president, then he's going to take on, and I quote, the old boys network in Washington. That's what he said. He's going to take them on. I'm not making this up. Now think about this. This is someone who's been in Congress for 26 years. This is someone who put 7 of the most powerful lobbyists in Washington in charge of his campaign. And now he tells us that he's the one who will take on the old boys network in Washington. What's wrong with this picture? The old boys network, in the McCain campaign, that's called a staff meeting.
Ben Stein, does the handling of the economy, the Bush administration, or may or may not be involved, give you pause about McCain?
It terrifies me. It terrifies me that McCain is not coming up with a whole raft of new ideas. I'd like to see him suggest at least a new resolution trust corporation to buy the bad assets of the financial institutions that are in trouble, get them off their books, reliquify them so they can start making loans to the individuals, families, and businesses of America. I'd like to see Paulson fired yesterday. It's unbelievable that after his incompetence he still holds that job. It is a disgrace to the Republican Party and to this country. I'd like to see him come forward with some proposals for really serious regulation. Get Chris Cox out of there. He's an incredibly nice guy, but he believes in a sterile and bankrupt ideology of hands off Wall Street.
Robert Reich, though, Obama, on the other hand, has very little economic experience, right?
Well, since February of 2006, Barack Obama has been sponsoring legislation to create more disclosure on Wall Street, particularly with regard to mortgage instruments right there in 2006, before anybody was saying you had to reform it. Barack Obama was on this issue. John McCain is sort of a born-again regulator, but actually he's been anti-regulation for most of his 26 years. Every time there was a regulatory alternative, he said, no, we don't want regulation. We can trust the free market on Wall Street, and that has been proven very badly wrong. Barack Obama has come out very strongly for 3 things that need to be done. One is full disclosure. The second is better capital requirements. The third is getting rid of a lot of the conflicts of interest on Wall Street. And John McCain, what does he stand for? Basically, he is standing for more tax breaks for the very rich. I'm not surprised Donald Trump likes that. But if you look very, very closely, what is that Barack Obama is saying? Regulate and give tax cuts not to the very rich, but to give tax cuts to average working people.
By the way, in case you missed it just a little earlier, Donald Trump did officially announce his endorsement of John McCain tonight on this program. McCain, by the way, Ben, has a new ad up saying he'll reform Washington and Wall Street. Here's part of that ad. Give me your thought.
You, the American workers, are the best in the world, but your economic security has been put at risk by the greed of Wall Street. That's unacceptable. My opponent's only solutions are talk and taxes. I'll reform Wall Street and fix Washington.
Will he, Ben?
I doubt it very much. I'd like to see some real proposals, serious proposals. Get somebody in the SEC who believes in regulating the securities markets. Get some teeth in the SEC. Get some teeth in the Treasury Department. We've got laws on the books against fraud. Let's enforce them. This whole mortgage thing was fraud. This whole business of deregulation basically allowed fraud. We have got to say, look, no more fraud. I've got a close friend who's a Holocaust survivor. He's just lost a large chunk of his life savings. This is an outrage. We're letting these short sellers and these fraudsters on Wall Street ruin the lives of ordinary Americans. Let's see some teeth in Senator McCain's proposal. I'm for McCain, but let's see some teeth, Senator.